Good afternoon. This is the Chorus Call conference operator. Welcome, and thank you for joining the Italgas first half 2024 results conference call. As a reminder, all participants are in listen-only mode. After the presentation, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. Should anyone need assistance during the conference call, they may signal an operator by pressing star and zero on their telephone. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Anna Maria Scaglia, Head of Investment Relations of Italgas. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today, we walk you through Italgas first half 2024 results. I'm here with Mr. Paolo Gallo, our CEO, and Mr. Gianfranco Amoroso, our CFO. I leave now the floor to our CEO, Mr. Paolo Gallo.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this conference. We are going through the result that we have achieved in the first semester of 2024. So I will start from page number 2, where you have the summary of the results. As you can see, we managed to deliver double-digit growth in adjusted EBITDA, EBIT, and net profit in the first half of the 2024. While the revenues were down by 6.4%, and that was fully expected due to the reduction of revenues and activity in our energy efficiency company because of the end of the Superbonus. On the other hand, we see a significant increase of the overall adjusted gas distribution revenues by 12% year over year. Gas distribution, as you know, was supported by a review, an update of the Italian regulation that has incorporated higher inflation and rates in the allowed return, with the normal delay of the regulation. But even more important, we have seen a significantly rapid growth that is driving our revenues. In our revenues, there is also the positive contribution of Acqua Campania, the company that we acquired from Vianini and Veolia, consolidated for the first 5 months of the year. If you couple these resulting revenues with our ability to reduce and control the cost, that's the reason why we are having EBITDA, EBIT, and net income grow at double digits. In particular, net income grew by 13.3% in respect of last year. If we move to the following page number 3, another significant result is in the operating cash flow that has not only materially improved versus the first semester of 2023, but the number is really significantly grown, 66% more. And that is mainly driven by the fact that there is no more the Superbonus cash absorption that we have registered last year. When Gianfranco will talk about the working capital, he will explain in more details all the detailed generation of cash flow. And the cash flow today is in line, I would say probably even better than in line of the historical trends that we register for the cash flow generation. CapEx is slightly below last year. I will explain in detail why. That is not driven by our normal operation, but is driven by investment that we do in what we call centralized RAB and investment in digitization. What is extremely significant is that thanks to the cash flow generation, the operating cash flow was able to cover the CapEx, to cover an M&A, and to cover portion of the dividends that we paid in May. So at the end of the day, the debt at the end of the period increased by 176 million if we exclude IFRS 16. Let's go and take a look at the CapEx. It is on page 4. We invested 354 million euros. That is down 11% in respect of last year. Let's see what are the driver. The driver of these are mainly two: lower spending in digitization, as we are completely in the digital transformation of the network. Still, 100 million euro is still a significant number in the first 6 months. The other element that was significantly reduced was what we call lower centralized CapEx. This number has no impact at all on RAB, because what we call centralized RAB is adapted annually only to account for the deflator impact and is normally remunerated on the basis of the number of redelivery points. So even if we invested less, that is only positive because we are saving money. Development and repurposing of the network are in line with what invested last year, considering Greece and Italy. And what is extremely important is that in this period we were able to lay down more than 300 kilometers of new pipes, out of which 200 in Greece. After that, I will skip to the ESG result of the first semester of 2024. We are at page 5. The page shows the net energy consumption that is down 12.5% in respect of last year. For the time being, we have excluded, for a matter of comparison, the consumption of Acqua Campania that was not present last year. So on a like-for-like basis, the reduction is anywhere significant. We saved 22.7 terajoule in respect of last year. The main contribution came from gas consumption. Gas consumption, thanks to all the activities and action we put in place in order to reduce the consumption of gas in our operating system. And in fact, we were able to achieve a significant reduction in our specific consumption ratio, and now is close to 1. Last year was 115. As well, we recorded a better performance on our buildings, leading to lower civil consumption. Also, electricity consumption was down due to the higher use of auto-produced electricity and also to the optimization activity that we run on the water facility in Caserta. Finally, the other component is a lower consumption of gasoline and diesel and natural gas, and the result is mainly driven by less kilometers that we travel, and thanks to the use of digital stuff as Dana and work on site. It looks like a different perspective is the scope 1 and 2 emissions that are increasing over the first semester of 2023. Let me explain why. First of all, there has been a revision of the ratio, the global warming potential that has been introduced, and that is accounting for 8.2 kilotons. So that is, let me say, driven by an external and different method of calculation. But there is also an increase due to the fact that we have discovered more leaks, and the more leaks are driven by the significant increase of kilometer that we recorded in the first half of 2024. So we nearly cover all our network, 73,000 kilometers, with an increase of 36% in respect of last year. So we expect that in the second half of 2024, we are going to, to inspect the areas that, according to us, are, the most critical ones, and we expect to find less leaks than in the first run. I have already underlined the fact of the global warming potential. Regarding the other elements, of course, less kilometer traveled by vehicles has produced less CO2 emission, less gas consumption has produced as well less CO2 emission. Let's go back to the economic results. Let's take a look at the revenues in page 7. Adjusted revenues decreased by 6.4%, and that is the result, as I explained before, mainly driven by the drop, fully expected, of Geoside, our energy efficiency company, revenues. In the same time, this drop was partially compensated by the increase of the revenues coming from our gas distribution, Italy and Greece together, and by the consolidation of Acqua Campania that is bringing, as you can see, nearly 32 million euro in addition in terms of revenues. I think that is the comments that I have relevant to the revenues. Let's move to the next page that is regarding operating expenses. Operating expenses, again, we are showing that the control of our cost is significant. On a like-for-like basis, we were able to reduce by 1% our operating cost, including Greece, in respect of 2023. The major drop in the operating cost is driven by the energy efficiency. We have seen that we have less 175 million euro in terms of revenue. We have also nearly 140 million euro in terms of operating cost. Similarly, Acqua Campania, who brought a positive contribution in revenues, contribute also an increase of cost by 17 million euro. Overall, our costs in the first half were at 201 million euro. As a result of the combination of revenues and cost, our EBITDA increased by more than 10% in respect of the first half of 2023. As you can see, the two contributions are positively the distribution activity, Italy and Greece, by nearly 88 million euro, and a decrease relevant to Geoside that is 24 million euro in terms of difference in terms of EBITDA. Of course, the core business, the gas distribution in Italy, contributed for a significant amount, nearly 600 million out of the 671 million euro of EBITDA. You see also the contribution of Greece and a limited contribution by Geoside and the water. I leave now the floor to Gianfranco for the remaining part of the presentation. I will go back at the end of the presentation to collect any questions you may have on those numbers.
Thank you, Paolo. We are now on slide 10, where we have adjusted EBIT that marked an increase of 12%, reaching more than 400 million. This growth is supported by an increased EBITDA of almost 50 million, resulting from the variance of revenues and OPEX that we have already explained. For the first time, EBIT contribution of Acqua Campania of around 3 million. On the other side, higher D&A for around 10 million, mainly related to the carryover impact of the CAPEX executed last year. Moving now to slide 11, net profit adjusted after minorities reached 241 million, with an increase of around 13%. Net financial charges marked a level of 55 million, or 11 million higher than last year's same period, mainly due to the impact of new bonds that we issued in June last year and last February. Income from associates increased by 6 million, mainly due to the contribution of water affiliates, Sicilia Acque and Acqualatina, both equity consolidated. Finally, we accounted for 97 million of adjusted income taxes, marking an increase of approximately 11 million and due to a higher taxable income. Tax rate was 27.5%, slightly above last year at 27.1%. Moving now on slide 12, we have just a recap of the P&L elements that we have discussed in the previous slides. So I will skip it and I will drive you directly to the following one, slide 13, when we show the impact of adjustment and reconciliation with the reported P&L figures. As you can see, we reported approximately 10 million of adjustment at revenues, EBITDA, EBIT, and EBT lines, with a tax effect of 2.8 million related to this. This item is mainly related to the impact of Resolution 207 of this year, resolution of ARERA, concerning the negative adjustment related to revenues already allowed by ARERA for the period 2011 and 2016. This positive components was due to cover cost of telemetering. Let me add that Italgas disagrees with such a solution and took action against this. Now on page 14, there is a focus on the water business in line with what we have presented for the first quarter, with the aim to provide you with a better visibility on the performances of the water business. As you know, we are not consolidating line by line Sicilia Acque despite the 75% ownership, since we have no clear visibility on timing of such accounting change. So, in the second column, we made a representation of both Sicilia and Acqualatina on a pro quota basis, leading to an aggregated EBITDA overall of 27 million. Now looking at the evolution of the cash flow on slide 15. First, you can see that cash flow from operation was around 530 million, expressing a significant increase, around 200 million, if compared to the first 6 months of 2023. To explain this, you will remember that last year was deeply impacted by some specific phenomena on net working capital, like the booming Superbonus tax receivables and the impact of bonus gas. At the opposite, this semester, we came back to a positive net working contribution for around 33 million. As a result, free cash flow covered the net capex of around 390, the financial investments completed in the period, and almost 1/3 of dividend payment of 285 million in the second quarter, resulting in a net debt increase of only approximately 195 million. Finally, the following page, we make the usual update of the financial structure at the end of June. Let me recap the debt transaction that we have already flagged in the first quarter presentation. A new bond of 650 million fixed rate issued in February, and the repayment of the bond of 380 million expiring in March, in addition to the new 600 million sustainability-linked revolving credit facility. All this, coupled with the cash flow evolution described in the previous slide, resulted in a level of liquidity slightly above 300 million at the end of June. Notwithstanding the refinancings that occurred in the period, the average cost of debt is almost in line with last year, 1.5%. Current composition of our debt remains substantially unchanged, with 92% fixed and the remaining floating.
Before going to the Q&A, let me just make some comments about the numbers that we have shown to you. The performance are extremely strong and are confirming what we have done in the last 7 years. So there's nothing new. The fact that we are continuing, that our growth is continuing is significantly important. This year we can see that the gas distribution in Italy fundamentals is very strong, not only thanks to the increase of the WACC, the allowed return and the inflation, but also because even though in such scenario we are able to keep under control our cost and to reduce, even if it's only by 1%, to continue to reduce this cost in respect of last year. And we were able in that way to compensate, to more than compensate what we were expecting in terms of energy efficiency results. We start to show some positive contribution from the water sector, where we have been working very hard in these first 6 months to contribute to significantly increase, not only in terms of economic result, but also in terms of operational result. Greece is on track, so we are happy about that. And I think the best result that we can show in the first half is a very extremely solid operating cash flow generation. Back in line, I would say probably better than what was the historical trend. Now, moving to and anticipating some of your questions about the 2i Rete Gas, I would like to say that I cannot tell you anything because we are in the due diligence process. The journey that we started more than 2 months ago is proceeding as expected. So we are at a good step in our due diligence, but we cannot provide to you additional information. You should be patient. You should be sure that as soon as we have significant development, we will announce it immediately to the market as soon as we will be in a position to do so. So please do not ask question about the 2i Rete Gas because that is the best information that I can provide to you. I will leave now the floor to question you may have.
Operator, please, let's start the Q&A.
Excuse me, this is the Chorus Call conference operator. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touch-tone telephone. To remove your question, please press star and 2. Please pick up the receiver when asking questions. The first question is from John Campbell from Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my questions. I've got 3 relatively quick ones if I can. So looking at the working capital, performance was improved year on year. How should we think about it for the rest of 2024, particularly relating to these receivables you have for the super bonus? So that's question 1. Second is sort of how do you see progress so far in integrating the recently consolidated water assets? Do you reckon you can apply sort of your know-how in natural gas distribution to achieve some quick wins there, I would argue? And the third one, I appreciate any comments you can give. There is a press article in Il Sole on the 20th of June, and the article hypothesizes, I stress the word hypothesizes, that a bridge loan refinancing could require $1 billion of equity issuance or hybrids. What is your response to this article? Do you agree with that hypothesized figure? And can you give any details? Thank you.
Yeah, I will take the first question about the working capital evolution and impact on over the year of the super bonus receivable. As you know, we have a bulk of around 130 million euro for this year to be compensated. Part of it has been already compensated in the first semester without no impact on cash because the tax payment was due for the 1st of July. Anyway, the remaining will be compensated in the month of November for the remaining portion to be paid in terms of taxes. Broadly speaking, about the working capital end of year, we can have a position that will be neutral to positive at the end of the year.
Let me take the question of the water asset. What we are doing, let me say, as you know, we have different situation in the three companies. Acqua Campania, we own 96%, and we fully consolidated it. Acqualatina, we own 49%. We are the industrial partners. Majority is in the Comune ownership. Sicilia Acque, we have 75%, but for the reason explained before by Gianfranco, we cannot consolidate it. Our partner is the Regione Sicilia. So we have different situation in which the role common to all the three is, of course, let me say, the role of the industrial partner. On some of them, like Acqua Campania, the consolidation and the integration is more strong than the others. Let me say that what we are doing, we are focusing mainly on helping Acqualatina and Sicilia Acque to deliver by mid of 2026 what they have committed in terms of investment relevant to the national resilience and PNRR. The commitment is important because they have to invest nearly 150 million euro that is devoted to the improvement of the network as well as the digitization of the network. I'm particularly referred to Acqualatina. So we have built around these two companies a team that is helping them through procurement, engineering, project management to help them to focus on how to deliver on time this investment. That is extremely important because you know that if we don't deliver them by mid 2026, we may have a big problem. So the situation on the water is proceeding fine. We are really acting as an industrial partner. There has been already some quick win, if you want. That is the collaboration that we have established between our gas distribution and the water distribution in Acqualatina, where many activities on site to repair and replace pipelines have been carried out together. So at the same time, we are intervening to repair or replace gas pipeline as well as water pipeline. And that is a significant quick win also for local community, where you have only one operator that is intervening, or better, two operators together at the same time that are intervening at the same time and reduce the, let me say, the bad part of such intervention to the local community. Regarding the last question, honestly, I have not seen that press, but I can tell you, as we have already told you, that the finance acquisition of 2i Rete Gas, it's already fully underwritten by JP Morgan, and then after that we will refinance through a combination of equity or equity-like instrument and debt. And the objective is to maintain the current rating profile that Italgas has. More than that, so I don't comment an article that I haven't seen it.
Thank you for those answers.
Next question, please.
The next question is from Jose Ruiz Fernandez from Barclays. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my questions. I only have two. One is, well, you made a 1.8 million euros EBITDA from energy efficiency, and I was wondering if you can help me to normalize a full year, either 24 or 25, for ESCO activities. And secondly, if you can give us a guidance of net debt by the end of the year without M&A. Thank you.
Okay. Regarding EBITDA of the ESCO, let me say that as anticipated, 2024 was a change into our business, in a sense that the Superbonus has ended, and therefore what you have seen is, in terms of records and numbers, is what we expected, so nothing new. And we didn't expect the Superbonus or similar, let me say, or not Superbonus, but similar bonus about residential to pick up during 2024, because you don't expect that people that until last year were not paying a single euro for the upgrade and refurbishment of their real estate asset, now is willing to pay immediately 30% or even more than that. So we expect this residential activity to restart a little bit in 2025. So 2024, we are working in building new, let me say, businesses that are mainly toward business, let me say, toward business activity, similar industry, let me say. Some residential in terms of energy management and public administration. Those are the three areas that we are working, and we will see significant result in 2025, not in 2024. We cannot disclose now what is going to be 2025 numbers in terms of energy efficiency. As you know, we expect to present our new plan by, let me say, September, October. By that time, we will be able to disclose more about the future of energy efficiency. What I can tell you is that we are working hard to build different kind of business activities, as I told you, toward these three sectors. Regarding the financial position at the end of the year, I think Gianfranco can give you more information.
Sure. The net debt without IFRS 16 for year end is 6.6. So the figures that we gave in the guidance we communicated last month, without any M&A, except the one that we have already done this semester that I commented before, the 50 million.
Thank you very much.
Next question, please.
The next question is from Javier Suarez from Mediobanca. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for the presentation. One question on the regulatory update on the gas tenders. I have read on the local press that the Minister of Environment and Energy Security may be working on a proposal to simplify gas distribution tenders in Italy, and press has been reporting different initiatives. So the question for you is if you would be, you can update us on any conversation with the current administration and on any measure or proposal that could make this acceleration in the tendering process for new gas distribution areas a reality. Any update on that would be very helpful. And the second question is on the operational efficiencies. I have seen on slide number 8 that the like-for-like efficiencies has been again reduced. The question is, it is fair to say that these operational efficiencies has been extracted mainly in Greece or in your Greece activities, and we should see that number increasing while Italgas best practices are introduced into your Greek subsidiary. If that is a fair statement, that would be helpful as well, a clarification on that. And then finally, if you can repeat again that you intend to present a new business plan update by the end of September, beginning of October. Is that correct? Thank you.
Did not understand the last question. Could you repeat, Xavier? Sorry for that.
No. It's a clarification on previous answer. If you have said that you intend to present a new business plan update by the end of September, okay, beginning of October. Thank you.
Okay. The proposal that you are referring to, that you have read on your newspaper about the reduction of number of items, we read it also. My comments is very simple. Let's take what happened in the last 12 years since the revision of the concession. 177 items, only 9 have been completed in 12 years. So any modification of the existing legislation would be welcome, in a sense that if it reduces the number of items, it will probably increase the likelihood that those tenders will happen. So from that point of view, we are positive reading what you have read on the newspaper, because that will help probably the consolidation from one side, but even more important, will help the tenders to happen. But let's see what is going to happen. That is my only comment. So I read it like you read it. My comment is positive. Let's see if it's going forward. Regarding the operational efficiency that you are referring to, let me say that the main driver is still Italy, is not yet Greece. Greece, we are working hard to bring, if you remember last year presentation plan, to bring the level of efficiency of the Greek operations similar to Italy, but you cannot expect that they will be immediately at our level. So the operating expenses in Greece are more or less in line of last year. And because there has been some additional cost driven by some extraordinary, let me call it, additional cost that we have encountered in order to start to review those costs. So we expect the Greece will contribute in the second half of this year, or better in 2025, as the operational costs will probably decrease. But the like for like that you see is Italian operation. It's not Greek operation. Greek operation is in line of last year. So that is a good news, because we still are able to reduce our cost in Italy, and we are working hard in order to get the same result in Greece, the same that we are getting in Italy. Regarding the new plan, we told you when we announced that the strategic plan was delayed, is because we want to present this plan as soon as we will have let me say, a clear situation about the 2i Rete Gas. So if we are successful and if our binding offer will be accepted by the counterpart, then we will present the new strategic plan. So it should happen between September and October.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
The next question is from Stefano Gamberini from Equita. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for taking my questions. First of all, could you kindly repeat why the capex decline in Italy in the first half and what we could expect in the coming quarters? Second, as regards this reduction of OPEX, why you are still improving the Italian situation? If you share with us if you were able to even improve your initial targets thanks to the digitalization, or are there some higher capitalization year on year? The third topic for me is what could we expect from the regulator on two main topics again. And the first is regarding the new WACC. Could the regulator also change the beta or the leverage in the update of the allowed WACC for 25-27 periods? When do you expect the first consultation document and what is your, we can say, best estimates right now? And the second, as regard the RAB deflator, do you have some talks with the regulator, considering that the gap between CPI and deflator of gross fixed investments in 2023 was 600 bips, and do you have the feeling that the regulator could introduce some changes in the calculation of the RAB deflator? Many thanks.
On the CapEx side, as I told you, there are, let me say, the same level of investment in the distribution activity. We reduce significantly in terms of percentage, not in terms of absolute number, the amount that is called centralized RAB. That it's let me say a proxy, but it will not impact the RAB, as I said before. You know that the return of what is called centralized RAB that is calculated over the number of redelivery point, so is not affected by our reduction in CapEx. And the third element is that the amount of what we invested in digitization has been decreased because we are completing the transformation, the digital transformation of the network. What we expect by year end, we expect that in the next half we'll probably have an increase in the digital stuff as we are completing. So we are rushing in order to get to the famous 90% of the network fully digitized and fully managed by DANA. And therefore you will probably see some increase in the second half. The amount relevant to the network will remain stable. Some of the centralized RAB may change due to the fact that this number is affected also by IFRS 16 that may change depending if we sign some long-term contract on car leasing and other stuff like that. On the second one, on the OPEX side, you should not be surprised that we are still continue to reduce our OPEX in Italy. So, as I told you, there is no specific element, but there are multiple elements that are driving our cost down. 1% is not big, but still a significant number. The digital stuff is the main contribution. The DANA application that is months after months covering the overall network is the major contribution because it reduced the number of intervention by our technical staff on the field. The number of intervention is reducing because we are able to do it remotely. And what else? There are all the activities that are moving to digital stuff are affected by cost reduction. So we don't have one single item. We have multiple items that are contributed. It's not a huge amount, but we have reduced the cost significantly in the past years. So to me, the trend is what is important. We are still keeping the control of the cost and reducing a little bit. On the future of the regulation, as you know, the WACC, we need to wait until the end of September to have a full picture. We still have a couple of months, August, and more than 2 months until the end. So we will probably update at the next conference call. Regarding the deflator, we have already seen the correction for 2023 because the ISTAT has changed some of the parameter and the regulator recognized such change and therefore they introduced the correction. We expect that is going to happen again. When the new consultation document about the next regulatory period, I think it will happen next year. So let's see. We don't have the dates, it's too far from now.
Okay, thank you.
Next question, please.
The next question is from Alberto De Antonio of BNP Paribas Exane. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my questions. I have to take two. The first one will be coming back to the WACC. I don't know if you could give us any kind of sense of what do you expect for the next WACC if we update the formula with the current variables market to market. And then in that sense, if you have any kind of sensitivity on what might be the impact on your P&L. And my second question is regarding the transaction. Many investors are wondering what might be the potential antitrust issues. I don't know if you have any visibility on that and how that could be treated by the regulator or the antitrust body. Thank you so much.
Let me start from the second question. Second question, honestly, I don't know. I can imagine that you are referring to the antitrust relevant to our acquisition of 2i Rete Gas. We expect that antitrust will take some decision about that, but we cannot anticipate nothing about. On the WACC, still 2 months to go. So if you can have different view. There is already nearly 10 months of accrued numbers, but it's early to say what is going to happen about the WACC. You should remember that 10 basis point of WACC is equivalent to 8 million in terms of less revenues. We have 8 billion of RAB, so 10 bips means 8 million in terms of less revenue. Just to make round number. Okay, I think I respond.
Next question, please.
The next question is from Bartek Kubik of Bernstein. Please go ahead.
Hey, good evening. This is Bartek Kubicki from Bernstein. Two follow-ups kind of things on the questions already asked. Firstly, on CapEx, and if we can look at Greece, because if you can maybe tell us how are you actually employing CapEx in Greece right now on a sort of year-on-year basis? What was the CapEx in the first half? What do you expect for the full year? And also consequently, if you can compare the CapEx execution exercise in Greece and in Italy, I mean, is it much easier or much more difficult in Greece? And also, if we can look at sort of a cost of, let's say, putting 1 kilometer of pipeline in Greece, how does the cost compare to Italy? Just to have some rough numbers here. And secondly, also on if we can come back in the history on the acquisition when 2i Rete Gas bought the gas assets from Gas Natural in Italy, they had to sell some of the concessions. Do you remember, or could you remind us what were actually the rationale for them to selling those concessions? I mean, what was the rationale of antitrust authority to tell them to sell the concessions, and whether they actually managed to sell all the concessions or they managed to keep some of them? Thank you very much.
No, the amount of investment we made in Greece in the first 6 months were more or less in line of the amount of capex that we invested last year. So there is no big difference. We expect that there will be some increase in Greece in the second half of 2024 in respect of last year. Regarding the cost of kilometer, it's a particular answer because we have the same. It's a particular question. We have the same question here in Italy to understand which is the cost per kilometer of pipes laid down. Let me say that you compare apple with some other fruits. You don't compare apple with apple because even in Italy it's difficult to compare cost per kilometer because it will mainly depend on the geographical situation, what kind of ground you find. If you are inside the city, outside the city, you can imagine that when we do this thing in Rome is going to cost much more than being in the countryside. Having said so if you want to make just a comparison as an average, I can tell you that in Greece the cost per kilometer is significantly lower in terms of investment than in Italy. I can imagine because what we are doing right now is mainly outside of the cities, because the majority of investment are carried out in order to bring new pipes to areas that are not served today by the gas distribution. So you compare it with what we would invest in Italy if we were in a situation of a countryside situation. But generally speaking, is lower. So that is a comparison that we have carried out internally to understand the main difference. But that is the outcome. Regarding the second question, you remember that this acquisition has been carried out, I think, 2017, 2018. That was more or less the time frame. The concept, 2018, they tell me. The concept of the antitrust is to restore a competition. So what we have seen at the time, because we were not part, because we were not the winner, but we have look after the outcome of that. What we have seen is that there were a limited number of assets to be sold, and let me say, the alternative was, in case of the sale was not going on, was to provide support to potential future competitors. So the idea, at least what we have read at the time in the antitrust, was the antitrust wanted to restore a competition through two main ways. One, sell the asset in case the sale was not successful, to provide a number of situation, a number of support for future competition, for future competitors. That is what was written at the time in the antitrust documents that was issued to support the completion of the transaction between 2i Rete Gas and Gas Natural.
Okay, thank you. If I may just push a little bit on this competition to understand. So how did they think about that? In some concessions they had to sell, and in some concessions they didn't have to sell the assets. How would you restore competition in a sort of regulated business in this case?
The basis of the competition was the ATEM, the single ATEM. It was not Italy, but was the single ATEM. How they decided to sell or not to sell, that is a question that you have to refer to the antitrust, not to me, because I don't know. We just read the result of their thinking about.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next question, please.
The next question is from Candela Davide from Intesa Sanpaolo. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my question in the presentation. I have a question on water. I was wondering if you are interested in participating in some tenders in the next few months, and if there are actually some tenders that could be called in the short to medium term. And relating to that, considering that now you are focusing your effort in the potential acquisition of 2i Rete Gas, I was wondering if there will be any opportunity for M&A or tenders in water if the acquisition would drain too much resources and you will maybe lose the opportunity to increase your perimeter in water, or if this is not the case. Thank you.
if you will know tenders on the water to happen, please give us a call, because we don't have anything on our radar screen, unfortunately. One of the idea to acquire the Veolia asset was also to be in a position to have all the prerequisite to be able to participate to a tender in the water. So, but we don't have, I mean, I don't have any particular information about the water tenders to happen in the next days, weeks, months. But if you have those information, please provide it to us, because we don't have it. As well as we don't have any information about possible acquisition. I would like to remind you that before we put the water in our strategic plan now 4 years ago, and it took us 3 years to find assets on sale, the Veolia ones. So it has been a very long journey, and before getting into the Veolia, we look everywhere in Italy about potential acquisition in the water asset, and we didn't find any. So I don't think that we will be limited by the 2i Rete Gas tenders, if any M&A in the water will happen. I have very little hope that there will be some M&A activities, opportunities in Italy in the next couple of years. Honestly, we have seen how it was difficult to find the Veolia asset, and they were the only one available on the market.
Thank you. And if I may, a further question, not related to water, in relation to a potential issue of an hybrid bond, in view of the fact that the spread between the pure debt and the hybrids have been shrinking in the past months, I was wondering if you we're thinking about issuing an hybrid bond that is not tied up to the potential acquisition of 2i Rete Gas. Thank you.
As of today, we don't have any need of refinancing. So the last one we issued was a few months ago, was a bond. The hybrid bond, like you mentioned, is based on what we said, a combination of equity or equity-like instruments to support the refinancing of the acquisition of financing of 2i Rete Gas. So today we are not thinking about any, we don't have the need, let me say, so in terms of finance. So we are not thinking about any hybrid bond standalone. That's it.
Many thanks.
Next question, please.
The next question is from Emanuele Oggioni from Kepler Cheuvreux. Please go ahead.
Good evening, and thank you for the presentation. Sorry, I connect late to the presentation to the issue on the connection by my side. So sorry for repeating, or maybe you already said, but I can see in the slides the confirmation of 24 guidance. I suppose these are confirmed. So 1.8 billion of revenues, 800 million of EBIT, etc. So probably yes, but if you please officially confirm the 24 guidance. And second, another clarification on the RAB deflator, because previously someone asked about it, but in my understanding there is no risk on the RAB deflator for 24. It's only up to the new regulatory framework will apply, or the new formula will apply from 24 onwards. But for 24, the 5.3% deflator is already in the pocket. Is this true? Thank you.
The guidance was not part of our presentation because the guidance was already given. So, of course, you didn't find the guidance in our presentation because it was already presented. We confirmed the guidance, like Gianfranco said before. Regarding the deflator, 5.3%, it's already in our numbers because 5.3% is relevant to the deflator applied to RAB 2023. So has created the RAB used for calculating the revenues in 2024. So it's already there.
Okay, thank you.
Next question, please.
The next question is from John Campbell of Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Hi, yeah, thanks for taking my follow-up. It's also on the RAB deflator. So I think your comment is very clear, right? You've got 5.3 locked in for this year. My understanding was you said that they might do it again sort of this time around as well, another change. Can you give any indication of what that sort of figure would be, even rough numbers, 3 to 4%, anything like that would be helpful?
What I mentioned is that the initial deflator that was issued was 3.8% because it was based on number issued by ISTAT that were different by the previous one. So the regulator understand that and corrected the deflator from 3.8 to 5.3. That was to be applied on RAB 2023 to calculate the revenues in 2024. And that was done a few months ago. So if you are asking me what is going to happen on the deflator to be applied on RAB 2024, you should wait a little bit more because it's going to happen at beginning of next year. What I said before is that because ISTAT has changed the parameter, we expect the correction made by the regulator on the deflator to be applied to RAB 2023 will be repeated also on the deflator to be applied to RAB 2024. That is what I said. What is going to be the deflator to be applied on 2024 RAB? I don't know yet. We will know it probably. Yeah. You need to wait a little
That's
bit
very
more.
clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
Once again, if you wish to ask a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone. Management, there are no more questions registered at this time.
Okay, so thank you to everyone. And as IR team, we are available in case there will be any follow-on. Good evening to everyone.